Good day folks, it's the Wicked Savage here, and today's video is on my experience growing up in foster care. Essentially, from when the time I was 5 years old, from when the time I was 6 years old, I was taken from my grandma and put into foster care with my two other siblings. None of us grew up in the same foster home. However, my foster parents, my brother's foster parents, and my sister's foster parents became all great friends, and we got to see each other more often. Essentially, I do remember when I was taken, I was five years old, 5.5, maybe 6. I was at the kitchen table playing with Lego. The doorbell rang or knocked, that part I don't remember, but being at that young age, I would always follow my grandma everywhere. And once they opened up the door, there was two policemen in the back and the social worker. I will not be mentioning any names, just rather not. And then the social worker, I call her Mrs. C, said, "We're here to take your children." I remember those exact words, and I was 5.5, 6 years old. The first night, I don't know how long I spent at the Children's Aid Society. Here in Canada, where I live, it's called Children's Aid Society. I do not know what it's called other places. Maybe you guys could comment below what it's called in your places. So essentially, the first few hours I spent at the CAS, which was about 6 o'clock at night when we were taken, 5 or 6, and I got placed into a foster home at about 9 o'clock at night. The next day, I don't remember much of the first few days, but I was told the next day I went out, got a haircut because my hair was full of lice, and my hair was supposedly right down to there. I was extremely malnourished. I weighed about 25 pounds at the age of 5. I had got a whole rack of new clothing, so that was the beginning. This foster home I went to, I was a very lucky one. I grew up in one foster home for 13.5 years, from August 1996 until June of 2010. One foster home. And I did not bounce from home to home, which is extremely rare. My foster parents were one of the best ones you could ever get. It didn't matter if you were a foster kid or the biological kid. We were all treated the same. I went on several trips with them to Dominican, Mexico, Myrtle Beach and stuff, which was awesome. We all had the same rules. Nobody was out TVs in their room. You get bad calls from school, doesn't matter if it's their own kid or us, we would get in trouble. A few times they did send us off to relief homes, which are basically foster homes, which are just watches out of foster kids for like a short time, like a week, a weekend. And those, I've seen some terrible ones. One of them only gave me french fries for lunch and supper, while other ones would literally only give you that much water for the whole entire day. Yeah, so some foster homes are terrible. Some are great, like mine. I'm still trying to see what else to talk about. It's kind of hard because it's been like 13.5 years I was in there. I do still stay in contact with them because they were awesome. Going up to that, foster care is not always the right solution for some kids. For my solution, it was probably the best. And also for my situation, I was part of the Crown Ward, which means the government was in control of my life until I turned the age of 18. Which means I'm not allowed to leave foster care until 18, but I was at my foster house till the age of 19 and a half, and I left about 2 weeks before I graduated high school. But I was still part of the CAS system until the day I turned 21. So that would be 17 years of my life. But still, foster care, what people say, it's not worth it, it's terrible. All foster families treat everybody the same. They aren't there to love kids, they aren't there to love, they're just there for the money. Some are, but if you're lucky to get into one, and through the court documents, I also read that my foster parents were thinking about adopting me but chose not to. So that just shows to you how some foster parents are loving. Once again, I don't really want to mention their names because I don't want to get them involved. And also through the foster care, I went through so many CAS workers. My first original worker I had for about 4 years. She was a complete keep this family friendly. She was completely incompetent. Then after that, I had about 7 workers in a matter of 2 years. I finally had enough of that, so I sent an official letter to the Children's Aid Society of Ottawa, and I stated, look, this is ridiculous. I have been here for, that point it was like 9 years, and I told him I would like a permanent worker. I said I do not want to be having new work every 2 to 3 months. And one of my other foster brothers had a caseworker his whole entire life. So I asked specifically for her to be my permanent worker till I leave. And somehow, I do not know how I managed it, but my request was granted. I do not know how I managed that. Another thing with foster care, as I said earlier, I was lucky to be in one home my whole life. It does not happen very often. Maybe you might be lucky, get into one for 2 years and then get back with your parents, are normal. But only having one your whole entire life and not going back to your original family. In the 15 and a half years I lived with my foster parents, I think I've seen about 30 kids come and go, and I put them through a lot of stress. I do not know how I managed it, but some of those kids are like good stories. Oh, I've been bounced from home to home. In 1 year, I had 7 or 8 homes. This is my 3rd home this month. Sometimes parents just don't want kids for whatever reason. They could be misbehaving slightly or stuff like that, which is unfair. Foster care should be there to help the kids and not get them from home to home. And many kids in the foster care system ends up in group homes. I've never been to a group home and I cannot really elaborate on how it is, but I've heard horror stories in group homes where the staff does not care. Kids get beat up and the staff says, oh well, who cares? Foster care is not like that. Foster care is awesome if the parents know what they're doing. This topic I'm talking about, I know it seems like I'm repeating stuff. It's just a video that I never really prepared for, and it's a subject that I've never really talked with anybody except family, because it's a sensitive topic. But overall, if you do end up in foster care, don't think it's the end of the world. because it's not. From when I put in foster care, I was a young age, so I really didn't know much what was going on. But if I did end up in it in my later years, it might have been a big issue. But I grew up in it, so I found it fine, and I try to imagine my life without being in foster care, and I think my life would have been totally different. And the CAS does have a lot of pull on stuff. They'll get you help where you need it, compared to if you are just a normal kid living with your parents. The CAS could get a lot more help before you would. So there's always the positives in that. The CAS does have a lot of pull in the legal system as well. A few times I got in trouble with the law, but somehow I've always escaped any trouble, really, which is also another good thing. I know this is late in the video to say this, but sorry for the video quality. I'm filming this off my PlayStation 4 camera. But once again, going back to my foster parents, I grew up constantly with 3 other foster boys, plus their own biological, and they've always had time for all of us, doesn't matter who it was. And to put to the point where they actually put up with me so much, back in 2007 to 2010, I went through a lot of medical problems, and they even told me they were thinking about releasing me back to CAS to get me into another home, but they chose not to in the end. That's how much they try and work with kids. But the whole process could take years to get out of, if you're lucky. But when I did turn 16, even though I was part of the Crown Ward, I was given the option if I wanted to go back with my mom. I said no, because my life was already set, and anything like that could have put me into jeopardy. Some foster homes just won't even help kids. I know I'm trying to be repeat sometimes, sorry, but this video, I have no script. This is just me talking. But also another thing with foster care and the kids and the workers, they actually do get a bond sometimes. Like a few of my workers would take me out to lunch, which they have no obligation to, but some do. Like I've had a few which they would take me out. Even some of my old foster brothers. One of them who I lived with for 7 years, I think. We are still great friends after foster care. A few of the other ones that were earlier on, I do have them on Facebook. We do chat. My foster parents I still chat with. I actually consider my foster parents the second family. I know it's odd to say that, but they are family to me. If you guys kind of liked this video, I know there's probably better ones out there, but if you guys like what I kind of experienced, comment below. And if you lived in foster care, comment below on how you guys liked it. Until the next video, goodbye.